Since some time back, I thought when brothers, sisters from different country, when you see quite a big number gathered here, and I thought just showing my face not sufficient. I want to show how brilliant this brain. So in any way, I am one of you. We, firstly, entire sentient beings. So we have to think the well-being of entire sentient being, including animals, insects, so fish, like that. Then we cannot do much. Other animals, as well as sentient beings on other planet, only prayer, nothing can be done. No, only 7 billion human beings in this planet. So we have same brain. So different language, not much important, but since we have same brain, so we can communicate. So I always feel when we pray for entire sentient being, and the realistic way, only 7 billion human beings here. So I myself always consider one of the 7 billion human beings. You all part of the 7 billion human being. Now, according to some scientists, now they say basic human nature is more compassionate. If basic human nature is anger, then not much hope. Then let us fight, kill each other. But basic human nature is compassionate. It's quite clear. More compassionate. You understand? Language? You understand? Oh, quite windy. I see. You should wear. Yes. Quite cold here. Not like Thailand. Okay. So the scientists now, medical scientists, they say constant anger, constant hatred is actually eating our immune system. On the other hand, if we keep more compassionate heart, it is very good for our health. So therefore, you see, it has become very, very clear. Since basic human nature is more positive, more compassionate, now it is important to use human brain for promotion of that value. Today, unfortunate thing is, when children, young children, you see, they don't care. what other children's sort of, what to say, nationality or faith. So long, children, each other, showing smile and play together. The children, you see, they simply play together on the basis of oneness of human being. Eventually, when we join education, then we too much emphasis differences, nationality or religious faith, and even within same religious faith or nationality, we again, you see, make, you see, what's the distinction? Wealthier family, poor family. In India, I think the caste system, that's very bad. At young age, they don't care. But gradually we show our young brothers, sisters, yes, there's differences of caste system because of caste, different caste. I think I always praise India. India, I think among human civilization, different civilization, I think civilization, Indus Valley civilization, I think eventually highly developed about knowledge, our inner world, like that. So now today, ancient India's knowledge about emotion, about mind, is very relevant to today's world. Now today, we are passing through some kind of crisis of emotion, isn't it? So such period, ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle our emotion, irrespective of whether believer or non-believer. 1,000-year-old India's tradition of secular way. And India's understanding about secular means respect all religions and also respect non-believer. So therefore, you see, I myself, you see, the student of ancient Indian knowledge, I really, when I study in Nalanda tradition, the Indian tradition, I was very, very lazy student. So I very reluctant to study. Because our way study is, firstly, we have to learn, memorize these root text, like Abhisamaya, Alankara, Mulakarika, like that. We have to learn by heart. So at that time, I do not know the meaning, so I really feel great burden. So now gradually I realize the thing which I study from young age, 6, 7 years old. Now the subject which I study with great reluctance, and occasionally my tutor threat me with weep. Now, gradually I realize those subjects which I learned is really very, very useful to keep inner peace. In order to keep inner peace, you see, you need self-confidence. In order to develop self-confidence, the truthful, honest is the key factor. Then you get self-confidence. Self-confidence is the basis of willpower. Okay. So your mind always remain fresh, no matter what difficulties surround, but you can keep peace of mind. That's India's tradition. So I usually describe myself as a messenger of ancient Indian thought wherever I go. Okay. Sometimes I feel historically you Indian were our guru, our teacher. We are just a chela, student of ancient Indian masters. So now, whether fortunate or unfortunate, now our historical masters now neglect this knowledge. So we student of Indian master, now we have now opportunity to carry this message. Since you see, guru or teacher not much pay attention. The modern India, now you pay more attention about Western education, Western way of life. The neglect about 1,000-year-old your own tradition. So now India, basically, as I mentioned earlier, wonderful. Then since, you see, 2,000 years, you see, Buddha very much emphasis against caste system. Now, unfortunately, still in this country, caste system there. Now, time comes, you must work hard. You see, India's constitution give us equal right, but century-old sort of old thinking or caste system. This, I think, one of the drawback, backwardness of this country. I want to share with you. Okay. So now, here, as I mentioned earlier, we all essentially brothers, sisters. Mainly, the main reason, this brain, 7 billion human beings are same. One time, I was in South Africa, and Soweto, I visited there. I met I went one family, the black, local black African. Then I told, now you already achieved democracy, equal, white and black. Constitution give you that same right, but you need mentally, more self-confidence, and with that, work hard to become equal. I expressed that. Then one native African, he introduced me as a teacher. He told me, no, the black people brain more inferior. You see, cannot be equal with white people. I'm much disturbed when that person, mentioned that. Then I argue, no, if we together go to the brain specialist, ask any differences due to color, differences on brain, the brain specialist say, no, 100% same. They will say that. And then I also mentioned, we Tibetan also, in our own country, sometimes the narrow-minded hardliner Chinese officials, they consider Tibetan backward. Their brain is something, inferior, like that. So then The only thing is opportunity. When Tibetan, handful of Tibetan escaped from Tibet and settled in India, and then get opportunity study, then we also become top. I told him, you see the potential, every human being same. I argue with him. And then lastly, with long sigh, like that, and he said, now he convinced we are equal, we are same. That moment, I feel tremendous relief. At least I changed one human being's mind. So therefore, mentally, emotionally, we all same human being. The emotional level, anger, hatred, fear, we all have, including this person also, me also. At the same time, we also have the same potential like compassion, forgiveness, tolerance. And then, between these constructive emotion and destructive emotion ultimately based on ignorance, short-sighted, narrow-minded. One American scientist, he's now age over 100 years. When I first met him, his age 84. He, you see, told me, so as is also the Kasadimin, psychiatrist. You see, he helped to people whose mind much disturbed due to anger. His conclusion is, when person feel angry, the object appears very negative. But actually, that negativeness, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So this is exactly ancient Indian psychology, exactly mentioned that. So this destructive emotion based on ignorance, basics of destructive emotion, you see, based on ignorance. The constructive emotion, such as compassion, love, forgiveness, tolerance, you see, these emotion very much based on reason. So therefore, if we pay more attention, then the destructive emotion, since no proper base or no reason, just emotion, and then other sort of opposite side of emotion have solid basis. So we can use our brain for further strengthening these positive, constructive emotion. I think some people from Tushita, I think you should pay more. You should pay more attention for study, like Shantadeva's book. Out of 10 chapters, 6th chapter, 8th chapter, very, very helpful to argue with anger, hatred, negative emotion, and also self-centered attitude. Then, other hand, you see the serious argument or proof altruism is the best way to fulfill your own interest. So the Shantadeva's book, I think those who are Buddhist, or even non-Buddhist, I think worthwhile to read 6th chapter and 8th chapter. The 9th chapter, philosophical view, whether there is creator or not, whether there is independent self or not. So this is quite complicated. Others, 6th chapter and 8th chapter, the Nalanda master, the Shantideva. Wonderful, wonderful. I also, found, that teaching, since I think 67, I received teaching of that book. Since then, I quite so often read that book and think. So that really start transformation of my emotion. Wonderful, wonderful book. So therefore, basically, destructive emotion, no proper basis, sound basis. The constructive emotion, there is proper base. So now point is, existing our education system, very much oriented about material value. So whole generation who come through that kind of education, eventually much sort of neglect about our basic, our human value, just material value. And then when we talk about material thing, we only use a concern about sensorial experiences, seeing something nice, or hearing some music, and then good smell, good taste, and touch, including sex. These just, the sensory level experiences, not mental level experiences. Now, frankly speaking, Western psychology, when we discuss, they only sort of mention about sensory level consciousness, not mental level. In this country, before Buddha come, I think over 3,000 years, here, ancient Indian, investigate about emotion, about mind. So, before Buddha come, you already develop the practice of shamatha and practice of vipassana. These things are method or instrument to transform our emotion, not sensory level. This is some sort of, you can sort of experiment, think mentally. Then the sensory level, we can neutralize. We not follow after sort of sensorial experiences, but mental level. So, sensory level, we cannot practice of meditation. Mental level, we can practice of single-pointed mind. I think sensory level, I look just one in the sun, eventually your eye feel uncomfortable. Isn't it? But don't care. So this is limitation. Sensory level, consciousness. Now mental level, there is real potential. We can develop a certain sort of concept or certain feeling in mental level, year by year, decade by decade. You can really, develop mental level, sensory level, limitation. Clear? So therefore, in order to do that, it is very important to know about the whole system of mind. Irrespective of whether believer or non-believer, it is useful, to know the whole system of our mind. According to my own experience, you see, the real troublemaker is mental level, not physical. So therefore, now time comes, whether religious-minded or not, you should know something about system of our emotion, system of our mind, so that you can face the serious problem there, but will not disturb your inner strength or mind, like that. So now, education. These days I'm describing in education, we also include hygiene of physical. So now we should include hygiene of emotion in our education. That's very important. Now, how to deal destructive emotion. That's hygiene of emotion. So now, here, brothers, sisters, I think, please pay more attention about our inner world, our mind. Then with that, some knowledge. You see, the system of our emotion, then you see some sort of method to tackle these emotions purely as a secular way. Should not mix with religious belief. Okay. As a human brothers, sisters, these things are something very relevant. So I want to share with you. Firstly, one individual like you, like me, try to develop inner peace, not through faith, but through reasoning, but through analytical meditation. Then one person share with other 10 your friends. Then each 10 person, you see, and again share their own another 10 friends. So that means 100 people. Through that way, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, go like that. So you should not think, world problem is huge. I just individual, I cannot do much. Don't think that way. The human society, humanity, combination of individual. Change must start from individual. Then, as I mentioned earlier, like kasa,
like ripple effect.
Or one person with some awareness and implement daily life, then becoming much more peaceful and share with more people. Go that way, I think that's the only way to create more peaceful humanity, more compassionate humanity. On the basis, we should emphasize on the sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. And the practical level also, now that's something very important. Now today's many problems which we are facing is too much emphasis on secondary level of differences. So since the secondary level of differences is causing division and develop strong feeling of we and they. So now, only remedy for that is emphasis on oneness of 7 billion human beings. Okay. Then basically we are a social animal. I always consider I'm just another human being. With that feeling, I get much more benefit. Wherever I go, I always feel I'm just another human being. So when I met someone, human brothers, sisters, so there's no barrier. If I consider I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, I'm Dalai Lama, so you create some barrier. if I do much emphasis, I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama, then I really feel lonely. Out of 7 billion human beings, only one Dalai Lama. So if I too much emphasis Dalai Lama, then it actually creates my own sort of mind, more sort of loneliness. When I emphasis, I'm just a human being. Out of 7 million human beings, the rest of 7 million human beings are our brothers, sisters. Then wherever I go, I always smile. I always teasing, joking. You see, that attitude, me personally, get immense benefit. Feel happy. If I too much emphasis on the secondary level of differences, then some fear, some sort of anxiety, these things happen. When I emphasize we are same, then these things immediately disappear like that. So I want to share with you, utilize basic human nature, that's more compassion. Now, I think everybody, particularly Indian, now should think more seriously how to introduce in so-called modern education about our emotion and inner value. Strictly, secularly. You should think seriously. Okay. Then the rest of my brothers, sisters also, you see, should think more. Till education field not much developed, some change, then in the family, you should provide maximum love towards your own children and other children. These children are the future of the world. I usually make as a distinction, generation of 20th century and generation of 21st century. Myself belongs generation of 20th century. Now that gone. Now our real hope is this 21st century should be peaceful century. No longer violence, no longer killing. 20th century become century of violence. According to some historian, they say in 20th century, through violence, over 200 million people killed. So now that kind of situation should not repeat on now 21st century. So people, generation of 21st century, now you should make some effort with vision. Then at this moment we are the
beginning.
Early part of 21st century. So if we make effort through education, through knowledge now, then after 20 years, 30 years, I think some positive result will come. So my life will not see these things. But the generation of 21st century can see, can enjoy more peaceful world. Okay.